is one experience no human being ever escapes. Yet, every time we experience suffering, we still ask the question, why is this happening to me? Why me? Why now? Well, welcome, my fascinating Renaissance friends, to my season of life, 60 years and beyond. And welcome to episode 173. Okay. So, for this month of March, we continue to reflect on great existential questions that human beings have asked through the centuries, not as philosophers in ivory towers. I can, although we look at what philosophers, say about these existential questions, but we're not going to reflect on them as philosophers in solitude in ivory towers there, looking at mere mortals, how they live their lives. No, we will reflect on them as women who have lived, who have loved, who have lost, who have endured, who have suffered, and who have grown wiser through the years. Okay? And reach this beautiful season of our life, the autumn of life. That's the window. That's the frame that we will use. And also, these questions are not meant to be problems to be solved, or even given what boxed, answers to. Do they even have answers? But these questions are meant for us to live through. So why don't you pour yourself, a cup of tea like I do? All right, settle, okay, in the moment, and let's discuss this, and let's reflect on this. Okay, so we'll see we'll see the question of suffering from three lenses. Okay, one lens, okay, from my favorite Russian novelist, Fyodor Dostoevsky. We talked about him also when we talked about love last month, isn't it? To begin, he's Russian. Again, just like Viktor Frankl, I need to give you his background because it definitely has influenced the way he would define things and look at life. If Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor from Hitler's concentration camps, the Dostoevsky also was a survivor, but not in a concentration camp. He was jailed for his political views on human freedom. And he was jailed in a Russian gulag. Gulag is a prison, dark place, one of the worst prisons in the world. Okay? And there he experienced forced labor because it's a forced labor camps where they put in political prisoners during the Marxist communist revolution started by Lenin and Stalin in Russia. Okay, so there he saw the sufferings and he started asking questions about why are we even suffering? So from there he said, and let me quote, suffering is not meaninglessness. In short, he's saying that suffering is not meaningless. Kinda similar to Viktor Frankl, isn't it? This is his take on it. All right. Suffering is a path. It's a pathway to moral and spiritual awakening. Wow. You awake. Okay, to become more passionate. Sorry, not passionate. Compassionate, meaning you awakening. You become okay, a force. that deepens our compassion and our responsibility as human beings. My goodness, you know. So let's not waste, according to Fyodor Dostoevsky, let's not waste suffering. Well, it's part of our human life. We might as well not waste it because it is not meaningless. It is the path where we, awake from what? From lack of awareness, we become more compassionate, more understanding, and become more responsible, for fighting for what we think is right. That's Dostoevsky. How about Carl Jung? Oh, you've met Carl Jung, my favorite psychologist. Okay, so he said this. He viewed suffering as encounter. Again, here, suffering is an encounter with the shadow. In his psychology, there are four terms. Okay, one is the persona, which we met in the previous episode when it comes to the meaning of life, remember? Okay, uh, yeah, okay, so it is a lifelong journey. The meaning of this is a lifelong journey, okay, towards individuation, finding out who we really are. Okay, so now individuation is there, is a finding out who we really are. Okay, and that is based on two things. Okay, the persona is the mask that we show the outside world. Maybe this is not who we're not really. And then you have the shadow. The shadow. The shadow will be the part of us that we do not want to face. We do not want to face. Why? Maybe it's too painful. Maybe it's too traumatic. Maybe there's a lot of wounds there. So we hide from it. But they do not leave. They persist and they affect us. So the moment, there is a conflict between the persona, who we are outside, and the shadow, the painful part of us, and we are in the process of finding out the true self, okay, the process of individuation, this is where we suffer. Well, okay, you may agree with him or not, but basically, that's the conflict. So the suffering is brought by the conflict. Okay. Now, Buddhist philosophy, they have a different take on it. Mhm. It says the truth, the starting truth is suffering is part of being human. We are alive, we're human beings. Suffering is part of it. You might as well live with it because it's part of being human. You remove the suffering part, who are we? Robots? Hmm? Makes sense, you see. All right. But then again, I said, we're not looking at this, we are not trying to understand these existential questions from the point of view of philosophers who are what? Who are not in touch with reality. Okay? Now, we are looking at it from the point of view of women who have lived through a lot of sufferings and transcended them. Therefore, suffering breaks illusions. We suffer the illusion of a perfect life, the illusion of perfect happiness. It breaks the illusion. It also breaks our egos. All right, like, nah, I am beyond that. I know better. Okay, etc., etc. And of course, the most important thing, it opens our heart. It makes us more compassionate. It humbles us that no matter how many gifts, no matter the billions we might have, okay, we will still suffer. Okay? The later years, the later years, the years we have now, we have come to conclude that suffering really has given us some good things. And what is that? Deeper insights. Yeah, we get to what? We get to know more about stuff, deeper insights. It has given us discernment, knowing what's good for us, what causes it, and what we can do. The ideas, what we can choose, to believe, and what we can choose to let go because it does not help us any. And the most important thing, empathy. Really empathy. As we grow into our in the autumn of our life, we begin to share, common pain, share common pain, all right? Because we are in this life together. Okay, so let me ask you, in your own life, whether you are not yet in the autumn of your life, in your own life, especially in the autumn of your life, what has suffering taught you? Just think about it. Sit on that. So, my fascinating Renaissance friends, if this reflection resonates with you, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with your friend struggling with the same thing. Okay? Now, and stay before you go, right? I suggest that you stay with the question, really, because wisdom does not barge in loudly. Ah, although there are times like that, but it makes itself visible, given enough space. And until we discuss the next existential question, this is your fellow sojourner. This is your life coach and mentor, together navigating the season of our life, saying, um, live wisely, continue living wisely, living gently, living fully in this beautiful season of your life. Okay? This is Malu Cervantes saying goodbye.